joined with Chris from Missouri Survival. Guys, we're going to be kind of delving down the rabbit hole on a few different topics of potential Civil War 2.0 and Bolshevik Revolution 2.0 and some other things to consider. And as always, when we kind of go into these topics, I want to kind of discuss some of the things that is going on, but I also want to talk about things that might be like solutions and things that you can do to actually prepare for it, because to me it doesn't do any good to just like, oh my god, look at what's happening, without actually doing something about it. So Chris, what are some of the things? I know I kind of already deep dived us into a topic there. What are some things that are on your radar as far as like Civil War 2.0 and stuff like that?
Really, on my radar is, I guess today mostly is watching the deal with a guy trying to break Luigi Mangione out, and all this at the central hub in Minnesota, where all the craziness is going on. Some dude tried to pose as an FBI agent to get in and somehow release Luigi Mangione, which is the guy that is like fulfilled the fantasy of most leftists in this country that would want to deal harshly or violently with the opposite political side. And it's just interesting. I thought it was interesting that all of it is sort of happening in Minnesota, but it tells me that their fantasy is exactly what he did. If they're willing, if they got people willing to risk their freedom to go in and get a guy like that out, and leftists cheering the guy when he did what he did, it just lets me know that their mentality is one that they want to go further faster than us. Like the average guy like you and me, we have families, we have businesses or just careers and lives that we've built where dudes with a theology that believes in God, we exist for God and for our families, whereas this other side doesn't have families. They're willing to do things to please themselves in this world and do it violently, which means that they're
Well,
willing to go
even if
further
they have
fast.
families, and this is just me like having had family and friends that are, communist Bolshevik leftist types, they would betray their own family for the agenda. They are more loyal to the agenda than they are even to their own families and their own community and stuff like that. And it's kind of interesting you mentioned Minnesota, because we see a lot of this stuff popping off. And I'd have to look it up exactly where I seen it, but I did see a Pentagon simulation that they were doing of where like they could potentially spark a civil war. And this was like some years back when they were doing the simulation, and it was Minnesota where they like found that they could spark a civil war. So that is kind of interesting. Um, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's the meme of the guy like standing there like this, but he's all like kitted out and stuff. And it's like when you see the Civil War about to pop off and you hate both sides.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think that a guy can, you and I can take a look at our area. That's where we're going to be, like, practically. We're not in the belly of the beast up there with a bunch of lunatics, whether it's in the Pacific Northwest or in Minnesota. We're not in hotbeds of idiocy for the most part, which is a nice insulation. But, I think that we're going to get to the point where, and I don't know, stop me if I'm going too far into this, too hot for TV here on YouTube, but like, I think that there's going to be a tax of opportunity, is how a lot of this is going to start.
So I've come up with a term to describe what I think a second civil war would be, and that would be a quagmire of factional gangland civil war.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like that. That's a perfect description. But just in my mind, the way I saw things starting to happen would be like, a small group of people, and this happening just in different areas of the country. Factional little skirmishes, right? Is how it would start off,
Yeah.
and
Well,
people just trying to look for any kind of political identifier of the other side and then find a way
well, yeah,
to
they'll see the guy with like And here's the thing, I think it's going to get to the point, especially with some of the Bolshevik leftist types, that if they even see a cross, or and that'll be a trigger for them, or and we've already seen this in some clips and stuff, if they even see a masculine looking man, somebody that's not like an effeminate beta bitch male, then they'll look at that as like a trigger of like, oh, he must be like right wing because he's, doesn't have a dildo up his ass or something.
He's in a Carhartt coat, which means that he works for a living. So we've got to get rid of him.
Well, Carhartt went giga gay too, so I mean,
I'm just saying the average guy in a work coat. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. They see boots and jeans and a belt, then like that they're automatically triggered, basically.
Yeah, but I mean, am I kind of jumping the shark to say that like I think the kind of things that can start popping off is people dropping the hammer on somebody sitting at a stoplight while they're sitting in a wooded area, to the rear of it, just looking for the right bumper stickers.
Yeah. Well, and I also think too, in response to this, and we're already seeing this. I don't know if you've looked into this, but uh, ICE and a lot of our ABC agents of Babylon types has, not only directly trained with Israel and IDF, but they've also pulled AI technology from Israel that they use to target Gazans. And so they're weaponizing that same technology against us. And so a lot of these people on the conservative right side are cheerleading for the the thick blue dick, basically. But the problem is every time our government does that, whether it's the Patriot Act or a whatever else, it always turns around and is weaponized against even the average American people. Even if it's a quote conservative that pushes it, it always gets weaponized against the average American people on both sides. And that's something that I think a lot of people are basically, I think both sides are retarded to a certain point because they think that they can weaponize the government against their political opponents.
Right. And I don't know that there's a chance for the guy that's not willing to weaponize the government either, though. Do you know what I mean? Like it's so big. I'm not arguing in favor of weaponizing the government, but like the average guy that's unwilling to I just don't know what solution there is for somebody who, like us, doesn't believe in oppressing somebody just because they disagree with us. But like, if both of those sides are willing to use the government and you're not, and the government has a monopoly on violence, it's you kind of have to think about what that means for surviving a conflict, really being a middleman that's not, you know what I mean, not
Oh
trying.
yeah. Well, and one guy kind of mentioned here in the comments here of the billionaires want us to fight each other, and then that's true. They do want us to fight each other because what I think is part of this whole Civil War potential Bolshevik Revolution 2.0, which I'll get into the Bolshevik Revolution 2.0 topic in a bit, but they want us to thin each other out, and then they're going to bring in mass hordes of uh, low IQ, stupid people that will basically go along with whatever. They don't want a bunch of honky tonky Americans that, hey, we got Bill of Rights, we got, Second Amendment and all that. They want a bunch of third world barbarians that's just like, yeah, I'll live in your, uh, coffin apartment and I'll work 80 hours a week for, $2 a week as long as you give me food and blah, blah, blah. And because, I mean, let's just be realistic, a lot of the third world barbarians has a peasant slave mindset and they've never broke away from that, and that's what they want to replace us with.
Well, yeah,
And
and they import the. I mean, they are the imported voter essentially to legitimize that here.
yeah, and it's those crowds of people, and they're going to utilize them in the Bolshevik revolution. And what I personally think is kind of the scheme here is essentially get all the MAGA right and the Antifa left to basically thin each other out and then bring in the hordes of barbarians and just kind of finish it off, and then they'll just completely restructure the entire country and minus the constitution and everything else along with it. And you know, people like us won't even be around because we got exhausted and wiped out in the Civil War. You are actually seeing the same kind of strategy being used in the Russian and Ukraine conflict. Ukraine, basically under Zelensky, who's a Israeli puppet, let's just call it out for what it is, ethnically genocided the Ukrainian average fighting man, and now they're bringing in Israelis to colonize Ukraine. Meanwhile,
Right.
Putin, who also puts on a small hat and goes to the wall, ethnically is genociding his Russian able-bodied fighting age men and bringing in tens of millions of Indians. So you know,
Yeah.
there. I think that's what they're trying to do essentially with the United States. And the stupid part about it is, quite frankly, I think both sides are kind of duped at a certain point. And at the same time, you have the Bolshevik types, the leftist Antifa types, that thinks that they're going to somehow come on top of this, allying with mobs of foreign barbarians, when the mobs of foreign barbarians are going to exterminate them, even if they do win.
Right. Well, I mean, if they can get us to thin, if they can get the people who are training and that type of thing to be thinned out over the scrap for resources and just ideological infighting and different things like that, then they can just, like you said, send in the third world mop up crew to burn the rest of the nests out of the people who didn't get, who didn't get wiped out, that have that ideology. So, I mean, they're trying to get the trash to take itself out from
Well,
their
they're
perspective.
trying to do a great reset. They told us what they're going to do. We're going to do a great reset, and you know, and I hate to make this kind of racial, but it kind of is. Is they want to get rid of the white Christian male.
Yeah, yeah. And anybody that would agree with them or have ideological ties with that.
Satan that literally says that that's what they want to do, and they have to do manifest their Messiah. Then I mean, we're kind of seeing that happen. And you know, this is what kind of frustrates me about the whole like ICE thing too. Is I am totally for mass deportation on the streets and getting in fights with just random stupid
Right.
millions of people. And then when you start looking into the is it just me?
I think it's you. I mean, because it's kind of lagging on my end as well. I don't know. Maybe
Okay.
the chat can say whether I'm lagging or not, but it doesn't look like it on my end from my side.
Okay, I'm not lagging now. For me, it looked like it was you that was lagging. So
Yeah. Well, it's still there's still a lot of snow on the ground. Everybody's in their house on the internet, so that's how that goes.
well, I was on a good topic, so you know, uh,
Did we just get attacked by Israel? Who
yeah,
knows?
Israel. Our live stream got attacked by Schnazenstein, Schnazenberg, and Schnazowitz, and
Oh my gosh.
they got the ADL on this one real quick.
So, what are your ideas of the way to kind of insulate ourselves materially and just location wise with things that would, if things really started to pick up speed, like I was talking about with stoplight assassinations and stuff.
Well, first of all, I think everybody um, needs to have their situational awareness way the hell up and have your head on a swivel and get the hell off the phone. I think that would be something like just basic step one type of stuff. I think everybody needs to get hard to kill. You know, if you uh, get in as good physical shape as you can, be able bodied as you can. Always carry a Rudy Tooty Pewty on you wherever you go. And even in your own house, you know, like a lot of people don't realize you just watch, you know, videos of guys like breaking into people's houses and stuff. They can break in your door and be halfway across your house before you even know it. So,
That's true.
and so even in my own house, and it sounds kind of silly, but I always either have it on me or within like, hey, I can grab it, you know,
Right.
type of
My
thing.
mine is technically because I'm home. Mine's technically in the other room at the moment, if I'm being honest. But yeah, you're right. I probably should just be carrying until bedtime, even in my own home.
Yeah, and like even you know, I have my safe in my room, so like you have to get through me to get to my safe and all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
honestly, at night I have a because we basically have the county jail in the town that I'm at, and it's like 6 blocks from where I'm at, and it's the most broken out of county jail I've ever heard of. So I've got like a, for a lack of a better term, sort of like a ready to go nightstand. I've got a handgun, I've got a tourniquet, and I've got a white light, just just ready to go.
yeah, I kind of have a similar thing. Like I got a really big safe, so I have a lot of that. The top of my safe basically turned into like my nightstand
Right.
essentially. So, um, but anyways, other things that I think people needs to do too is obviously become as prepared as you can and start producing um as much as you can because you know realistically if you look at most wars, conflict, everything like that, most people starves to death or dies from other ways than you
Lack
know
of sanitation.
yeah, or sanitation or you know numerous other ways. But I'd also say you know have friends and family and neighbors and everything like that. Another thing I'm going to throw out is don't get caught up in the useless fighting, you know, because I
Right.
think we have to be prepared. Okay, this is gonna sound really retarded. So, just have you ever played Skyrim?
A little bit.
Okay, so on Skyrim, the lore is there's like a civil war going on, and there's the Stormcloaks and Imperials, and they're fighting each other. And but you kind of realize the problem is if you side with either side, the Elf Thalmor is just going to come in and clean everything up. We have to prepare ourselves for the Thalmor coming next, type of thing. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because I think the Civil War is initially just going to be to thin out the herd.
Yeah. Yeah. Something I've thought about, and this I
And
feel like
so
would be an,
that's what I think we need to prepare for. And so,
we're lagging.
oh, I don't know why we're lagging so much because I got like full signal, full Wi Fi, everything like that. I might turn my Wi-Fi off maybe and see if it's just it being retarded. Here, we'll try that and see what happens. Hopefully, it doesn't totally screw us on the live stream here. But
Right.
uh, that's what I think we need to prepare for, though, is the second wave essentially,
Right.
and you know, at the same time, though, don't become so reclusive that the Bolshevik lynch mobs are coming right up to your door and, you know, you didn't do anything about it.
Right.
So I
It's almost
think
like you
having
need
a good balance of,
like
you
a
know,
mesh network of people that are willing to be sort of lookouts. You're going to have some sort of like intel perimeter of people with eyes on stuff.
well, it's always better to fight a potential enemy, you know, 30 miles from your house than on your front door. Like if
Oh,
it comes to your
absolutely.
front door, you're kind of screwed.
Your family's in that door.
Yeah. And that's the thing too is we have to recognize too a lot of these people are very atheistic, they're godless, they have no moral principles whatsoever. And so they don't mind to harm families and everything like that too. And
Right.
quite frankly, he sadly I'm seeing kind of some of the MAGA Trump worshiping cucktards kind of falling into that same trap too, in all
Right.
honesty. And a lot of them, I think, and you've seen this as much as I have, a lot of them are essentially worshiping Trump and the synagogue of Satan, satanic shit stain in the Middle East more than they are even Jesus. So,
Dude, it's crazy. I mean, it's hard to believe that most of the political sphere is more concerned, most of Christendom in the political sphere on the right, in Republican conservatism, are more concerned about Israel and talk more about Israel than they do about Jesus Christ himself.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Of course, you got one guy that's like, "You guys want communist? I question your Lord and Savior, Donald Trump, and you automatically assume we're communists." What a
Good night of living.
stupid, idiotic comment.
It's crazy,
When
dude.
we're
I've
like
been
this whole
calling.
video, we've been talking about how like we got to deal with potential communists, but I question the baby boomer billionaire pedophile man god, and that's what it comes to.
Dude,
Because see a lot, and that's a problem too. Is a lot of people doesn't realize that both sides are fake.
yeah,
Both
both
sides are
sides are.
fake and gay as all shit. They both literally are taking money from a foreign nation, APAC. They both put on a small hat. They both go to a wall, and they both knob slob on Bibi Netanyahu's cock.
Yeah,
So
if Barack Obama and the Orange Man can both go worship the wall with the tiny hat, then they're in cahoots.
yeah, two cheeks of the same ass. I kind of agree with that for
That's
sure.
actually the funniest damn. That's hilarious.
Well, what we're dealing with is essentially, yeah, okay. Let me kind of explain this here. A lot of people think that World War III is going to be all these big nations. We're all going to just nuke each other and blah blah blah. And I don't rule that out. But at the same time, I actually think the real World War III or the under the table World War III is all the governments, all the corporations, and all the banks of the world has all allied against their own people.
Yeah, to basically collapse it, get rid of the useless eaters, which that is the exact term they use when you listen to what they say in Davos and the books of the people that go to Davos. Right, they talk about the average person, the workers, and the commies that nail dresses to trees and think they're rejuvenating the community with MacBook Pros and art. Um, yeah, they call all of us useless eaters. If we're not part of their elite tier, then they're looking to get rid of us. You and I are the carbon they want to reduce. It's
Yeah.
not about airplane fuel. If it was, Al Gore wouldn't fly everywhere.
Well, or even like Bill Gates, which he's a Jeffrey Epstein acolyte. I mean, that's been obvious. So is Trump, though. Trump is totally involved with the Epstein stuff, and that's what kind of weirds me out about a lot of the uh, so so-called conservatives. And I say that because they haven't conserved anything for 70 years, but
Yeah, name one thing. One
one
thing of
one thing, yeah, they have not. They have basically all they've done is a whole lot of nothing, and they will just slowly push the same agenda that the Democrats will push, or they'll create a situation like the Patriot Act just so the Democrats could weaponize it against the conservatives the next time they're in power. And so it's this constant kabuki dance is all it is right there in
right,
front of us, and both sides are against us.
right. So, and I know this is kind of shifting gears here, but like, what are your thoughts on like tactical caches and stuff? Like, I would say like around your property, or like even off of it, for like routes of egress and stuff. I mean, have you thought much about things like that?
Yeah. I mean, I will say, I think if you have a whole lot of redundancies as far as like gear and stuff like that, it's kind of foolish to keep it all from all in one spot. And here's the thing, like I think about scenarios like this. Say if I get off of work and I come home and there's already a mob of, barbarians or whatever at my house. Okay, cruise on by and act like I didn't fucking see shit. And now I got second cachet, call up the boys, and we're taking my house back. The worst
Yeah,
thing you want to do is pull in and try to, like, get your shit while they're already there, type of thing.
dude. There's a book. It's a series by. Do you know who Jonathan Hollerman is? Do you know who that
Say
guy is?
again now.
Jonathan Hollerman, the author. This is like a book about survival tactics. It's not like a novel or anything, but
The name sounds familiar. What's the book series called?
the name is escaping me. I can send it to you as soon as we get off here. But I've been reading those, and he talked about how like you need to basically have, if you have a central location in general, it's a good idea to have routes of egress with caches on them, and even like spots that you have picked out that you could actually do gunfighting from, to where you could egress. And let's just say you let it calm down for like a day or two so these people get comfortable, and then
Yeah,
you just start the mental game of, you know you sit and you give one of them a dirt nap and you don't do anything else.
yeah,
Nothing else, not another. And then you just sit there for another day. Another one, the most important one you can find, gets a dirt nap. You know
yeah.
what I'm,
Well,
until you're
sometimes when you're dealing with a group of people, enemy combatant, or even like, say, like a mob of people attacks you on the street or something. Sometimes the only thing it takes to disperse the mob is knock out the biggest motherfucker they got. You
well,
know what I
and
mean?
if
And
it's a
and
group
the
though,
rest just scatters.
that, but like if you're taking your property back, it's not going to be long before every day they're waking up, who's going to get a dirt nap today, they still haven't figured out where it's from. They're going to want to be moving along, so you're playing a psychological game while still whittling away at the trunk of the tree. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
We,
And it just made a whole lot of sense to me, where you've got caches to subsist out there. You don't ever, from the same spot, so you've got multiple angles you can go to, and you just play the game until they're done playing the game. You know
Okay,
what I
well,
mean?
while people are commenting too, I enjoy everybody watching and commenting, but I do have a rule. You get three gays and you're blocked, and sometimes a comment can like automatically merit three gays in one comment. So I'll be the judge of that. And so I don't care. I will block people. So
Right. Okay, so a guy in the chat said that he'll be asking about the book later. I will post a screenshot out of my phone of the book cover. I think there's two or three of it, and I'll make a post on my community page about it, like when
okay,
we're done
yeah.
with this.
And guys, if you don't follow Missouri Survival, definitely go follow him. He's a small channel, but he's growing, and he gets into a lot of the weeds and stuff like I do. Um, so crap, I just totally lost my train of thought. To be
Oh, we
totally honest.
we were talking about like routes of egress and how to take your property back, and
Yeah,
just
and I also think having friends and family that you can trust, that you can, you know, pull you and your family to if you had to, and it might not even hurt to have some spare gear at their house, especially if you trust them. Then,
right.
have some spare gear and resources and stuff. Um, there, we had one guy comment earlier about Brit from UK, blah blah blah. Trump is pissing on the U.S. flag. Every president for our entire lifetime has been pissing on the American flag. And I don't know about you, but from what we see, UK is kind of a black hole and it's a conquered nation. So,
Yeah, yeah, the presidents are pissing on the U.S. flag, but I mean, UK is kind of pissing into its own mouth. So, I mean, there's that.
yeah. Well, I think Europe as a whole, and this is just my opinion, Europe as a whole is becoming a black hole in general, and quite frankly, most Europeans will be genocided in the next 30 to 50 years. And most Europeans have never broke away from the feudalistic peasant mindset.
Well, I mean, they're importing hordes of jihadi rapists while the white portion of the country wrings their hands about microaggressions. That you
Well,
don't
not
get
only
more
that, but
conquered than that.
they submit themselves to third world barbarians and allow it to even happen too. Super Saiyan Bear, he's been a long time follower and he said there's no such thing as nukes. I tend to agree that I think the nuke thing is actually overblown. I think, Hank, the fear and propaganda of nukes is more so dangerous than the quote nuke weapon itself. Do I think they got some big
There.
bombs that they can blow up a city with or something? Yeah, they probably do. But at the same time, here's the thing too. I don't think they'll ever get to that point because they already have everything and everybody under their control. They already have all their 5G, 6G, all that crap going on.
Everybody
So
injected with graphene.
yeah. And so if they nuked everything, in a sense, they would almost lose control of they would lose their entire infrastructure of the control that they already have.
Yeah, the juice
I
wouldn't be
think
worth the
they'll
squeeze.
do something to thin out the numbers. And do I think that they can quote nuke a city, and just kind of like scare everybody and stuff? Like, yeah, they can probably do that. They can probably, something. One crazy theory I've seen is, you know, good God, they could quote blow up a city and then ramp up the 5G towers and all the people that got one of these things in them with all the nanotech in them start dropping like flies, and the news media would be like, oh, it's the radiation, blah blah blah, they're, everybody's dying,
Right,
and they can completely stage a nuke event. Like, I don't rule that out at all.
man. I'm amazed at like. Okay, I have family members that have well, it's really on the other side, but people who took the jab and are currently in a box in the ground now,
Yeah.
like it's crazy how much that's how fruitful that was.
Well, they've been thinning out the population quite a bit, and I think now they have to ramp things up because it's not like going quite as quick as they want. And
Right.
now I'm going to get a little biblical here, but I don't think any of this is new, quite frankly. And I think the reason why they want to thin out the human numbers quite a bit is because they want to make way for the potential Nephilim. And, well, they need a lot of resources
Yeah.
and a lot more than what humans, you know, need. And I mean, I don't know if you've ever looked into the book of Enoch. I tell everybody be grounded in Jesus Christ before you look into anything else. But, it kind of described the days of Noah, which I think is, Jesus even said it would be like the days of Noah. And the Nephilim consumed so much that humans couldn't even like sustain them. And so they just started eating people. And so it's just something to kind of think about. And, you mentioned like, oh, we're just the useless eaters or whatever compared to them. Like, and that's what their mentality. The
That's
reason
their
why
view
they,
of us.
yeah, it's their view of us. The reason why they have that mentality is if you really start to look into all their text or in their own writings and stuff, they believe that they're descendants of Nephilim. It's not that they think that they're a superior breed of humans than us. It's that they look at us only as humans compared to
Yeah.
them.
Right.
And I think when people realize that, then it kind of puts things into a little different perspective.
Right.
Okay, the Earth is a hollow trapezoidal rhombus. It probably is more so than a globular model. uh, so if $200 plus Walmart closed in Cali, bet Amazon will take off, may even start their own. I think that's coming eventually. I mean, so I used to work as a manager at Walmart, and you know, they had us take training at one point. Now they were saying this is years and years down the road, but they were already gearing up for where you wouldn't even be able to walk into a Walmart. Basically, Walmart would be just you can pull in, order stuff, they'll come out and give it to you, or they'll deliver it to your house, but you're not even buying anything. And that's all part of their like whole grid control system too,
I've
because
okay, my wife, let's just say she works in logistics for that company. So that is absolutely the dream for,
yeah,
for Walmart. They don't even want you to be walking into the store anymore. You just
yeah.
make your online thing and you pull up, and either they fly a little drone to your house, or they drop it off in a courier van, or you pick it up at the store. That and from what I understand, that is supposed to they would like for that to be completely 100% live by like the 2030s, which is right on
Well,
us.
I think what they're waiting for, and there's kind of a big tick that they're waiting for. I think they're waiting for the baby boomers to die off, quite frankly, because the baby boomers won't ever go along with that. They'll gripe and bitch that's too much about it, but everybody younger than them will kind of go along with that because we already do a lot of that with like Amazon and everything like that.
Right.
And I also think the other thing that they're waiting for is the US dollar collapse. And they're and if you guys haven't been paying attention to it, the US dollar is collapsing. It's like in full, you know, free fall basically. That's why I think we got involved with Venezuela is because Saudi Arabia is breaking away from the US dollar and the only thing that's kind of holding it up is oil, and so probably going to try to use Venezuela. I'm just speculating here, but try to use Venezuela to prop up the US dollar, but I don't even think that's going to do the trick. And I think eventually they're going to go to quote a stable coin crypto dollar or something to replace the US dollar.
Well, the Orange Man has mentioned that repeatedly. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
think he's in on that. That's it. Between that and the Palantir stuff, and he's ushering in. It's just like the NRA with gun control. You know, we thought we had the NRA for gun rights and crap, but they're the ones that ushered in all the bullshit to where you can't have to relicense to own some parts of the gun world, right?
Yeah.
Trump is basically the NRA for the New World Order in the sense that he's going to
He's
be
the
ushering it in,
salesman.
pretending he's not.
He's the Trojan horse. He's the salesman. He's the thing that looks pretty, and so you open your door and let it in, and but you know when it gets in, it's full of a big steaming pile of shit or a bunch of angry Greeks.
Dude,
So,
it's amazing how a
or
guy
in
who could.
his case, it's a bunch of Schnazenstein, Schnazenbergs, and Schnazewitzes.
It's like,
So,
listen, guys, we're gonna put out the Jewish Palantir. Okay, you guys are gonna love it. Okay, you're gonna get your 10 square foot apartment. Believe me, that's yeah. I don't know how people can listen to that.
he's the salesman for the great reset.
Right?
Essentially,
Yeah.
they're going through a reset, and the thing is I don't even think it's the first reset. I don't know, like if you delve down into like the Tartaria type of stuff,
I've
and
looked at some of that. I have.
okay, and I don't know how deep in the weeds I totally agree with it all, but like at the same time, I think there's something there with it, and I think we've had cyclical resets, and I think at a certain point they're like, yeah, we're about to get to this point and we can't have all these people. So they just push the freaking button one way or another and just
Right.
more or less nuke it all and push the big reset button and get rid of all the people that might remember the old world and replace it with a bunch of new people that won't.
Yeah. It's like they have to replace the conscience of humanity, and that's why I think that's why we have these like widespread freaking natural diseases that wipe out large populations, and then you got floods and earthquakes and all this crap that just. I mean, I think they can play with the weather too, So it's just I don't really trust any of that crap anymore. As far as
Yeah, I do agree. I think they have weather technology, and what's crazy is arguing with people about it, and they'll like that type of crap doesn't exist. It's like they have patents from the 1970s. They have United Nations treaties from the 1970s that says you can't use weather warfare against other countries. Do they do that? Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Well,
But
I think they've been using weather warfare against us at this
yeah,
point. You
well,
know.
and that's a problem. Is a lot of the um, agents of Babylon, they'll get some treaty that says, "Oh well, we can't use it against some foreign country, so we'll just weaponize it against our own country."
Yeah,
Essentially,
we'll use it on we'll use it on the southeast, you know, and flood them out for a while, you know, or just whatever.
Donald Brown 55 says, well, no matter how third world the country, everyone has a smartphone. Yeah, the smartphone is the part of the beast system. Like everybody can't get away from the smartphone anymore. It's the mirror on the wall, tell a vision to deceive them all
Yeah,
type of.
everyone gets a Babylonian rectangle, you
Yeah,
know.
it's the existential crisis rectangle.
Yeah, I love
It's
that.
like even the average person could get PTSD that was only reserved for the most battle hardened veterans and stuff, all in the small 3x4 square screen.
Right. Dude, I do think that like the social media, and I spend too much time paying attention to shit. I really do. But like between social media, between societal upheaval, and just dude, I think there's a spiritual element to us knowing things that are going on, you know, that you can kind of feel the enemy moving around in the world, you know.
Well, I
All
think
of it.
everybody feels it, and I mean, I guess anybody with any kind of discernment, like, do we know 100% what's going on? Absolutely freaking not. But
Right.
do we feel like something's going on? Yeah, definitely.
Man, I over the past like 8 years, I have really learned to just tune in to like if I get a feeling about something, it's usually right, and I attribute that to God rather than me. But like, I feel like I've been able to even individuals who are, let's just say, nefarious people that I would be around. For some reason, I'm able
I
to
got a
pick them
guy
out.
in the comments here that just Jimbus is doing the Lord's work in the comment section. Thank you, Jimbus. One guy's acting very giga gay already. Like, you guys aren't even tough enough, blah, blah, blah. Dude, you got bitch titties. Shut up.
Copious amounts of soy.
Yeah, copious amounts of soy. Nobody said anything about fighting in a civil war. As a matter of fact, we're kind of actually, I think, for the most part, trying to dissuade from it in a certain extent because they just want to thin out our bloodline.
No matter how good you are, there's always a rate of attrition.
Yeah,
Always.
yeah. There's always a rate of attrition. There's always somebody better, and they got. I don't know. I don't really look forward to getting blowed up by a freaking drone. Like, quite frankly, like, drone warfare is about as gay as it gets.
Dude, and I think that there's gonna be a lot of that type of thing though. Even just from civilians, like as far as like looking at the Ukraine type stuff, I think that there will be that type of attack even in political stuff at the beginning of like a civil conflict.
Yeah, Donald Brown can only travel so far north or south before someone stops you. Yet we can totally hike to Everett. It's a bit of a Truman Show. So I've kind of voiced my opinion on this before. Do I know what the Earth is exactly? No, I do know it's not a floating ball. I know what the Bible says, so I believe in a biblical Earth model. Um, I do think that there's something very suspicious about Antarctica and the North Pole. And when you kind of look at a lot of our older maps, they kind of portray a different uh,
Right.
Earth than what we have today. So
So
that's all I'm going to say about that.
so I did just get a 20% notification on my phone, so I probably have about 10 minutes left.
Yeah, I actually have a 20% note. Yeah, I actually got 20% as well on my phone. So it's crazy because I got it charging, but when I have it plugged into my computer, the charge, it doesn't charge as fast as like actually plugged in. So it's probably using the juice faster than it. is
Yeah.
like actually charging. But and it's cold back here in this room. I haven't had the
That's
door.
dude. I'm sitting in like a room that doesn't have an air. That's why I got the shamag on just to warm the neck up. It keeps everything at about equilibrium right now. But it's cold as hell back here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of I've been kind of concentrating the heat into like more central house just because it's cold as shit here in Missouri, and
Right.
so
Oh
and
yeah.
up in my area, I don't know how your area is doing down there, but up in my area, yeah, I just got the notification. Up in my area, it's been single digits, but then we also have like the constant 20 to 50 mile an hour wind because every farmer wants to bulldoze down every tree because Monsanto tells them to, and so
Yeah. Yep. Pretty much.
and then the same farmer will be like, "Why is my fields eroding? Why why do we have so much wind?" It's like you bulldoze down all the trees, jackass. Like, what did you expect?
Right. The ground doesn't have the same rigidity it did when you had. You
There's
know,
a reason why people for thousands of years made sure they had tree lines around farm fields to try to like kind of maintain the soil and everything.
yeah. Trying to see
But
what these comments are saying down here.
yeah, sometimes I like to kind of delve into them. Oh, Kenny, you got frozen pipes again? That would that would suck. I probably need to get my pipes dripping too. I've had that happen before. It
Yeah,
kind
I
of
actually need to go do that probably as soon as I get off here. But I will also post that book um, in my community section for sure.
yeah. Um Well, I guess since both of our phones are dying and we're kind of at a stopping point, anyways,
Right.
I guess we could go ahead and wrap this up. I usually try to keep it right at or under an hour or so, anyways. So, guys, be sure to go check out Missouri Survival and um, I also, guys, just always use your discernment and kind of be prepared. Uh, because we don't know what the hell's coming. We all feel like something's coming. It's kind of in our bones. It's kind of in our um, spirit. But yeah, it kind of some hard times are coming for sure.
Yeah.
And so, as always, Jesus Christ be praised. Be prepared both physically and spiritually. God bless and carry on.